Good evening, everybody. Could we stand for a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Dana, can we have a roll call?
Sure. Jacqueline Daniels here. Tyler Kennedy.
Here.
Jalen Daniels.
Present.
Frank Pergola.
Here.
Adam Preston. Sean Rallis.
Here.
Rohan Brown.
Here.
Noah Darrow.
Here.
Patricia De Silva. Here. Christopher Rogers.
Here.
Daniel Stahl.
Here.
Carl Williams.
Here.
Lisa Glazer. Here. Ann Lynch. Here. Quorum was met.
Thank you. So tonight we're here to have a public session on the proposed 26-27 budget. So Mr. Dan Stahl, chairman of our finance subcommittee, is going to make a presentation on his study of the budget.
Either way, I can talk. All right, citizens of Ansonia, this is a presentation of the 26-27 proposed budget. We will discuss how the budget was prepared and how we plan. We have had, as most of you are probably aware, shortfalls in very recent years, and they were a challenge to address. I'm going to bring up Kurt Miller, who is going to present a review of where we stand as far as the reserves, what the reserves for the city of Ansonia have done over the last few years.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. So I was asked to prepare just a synopsis for everyone tonight on the audited fund balance numbers so people have an understanding as to where we stand financially. So I went back to June 30th of 2019. At that point, the fund balance had an audited amount of $6,402,180. For June 30th of 2020, that number rose to $7,287,097, or an increase of $884,917. For June 30th of 2021, the new number was $9,093,061, which was an increase of $1,805,964. For June 30th of 2022, the number dropped to $7,970,361, which was a decrease of $1,122,700. For June 30th of 2023, the number was $6,119,816, which was a decrease of $1,850,545. For June 30th of 2024, the number was $7,920,741, or an increase of $1,800,925. And for just the city, on June 30th of 2025, the number was $6,130,163, or a decrease of $1,800,000 $790,578. So from essentially July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2025, the fund balance decreased a total of $272,017. Now, where we stand as of the last audited numbers for the city, as I said, was $6,130,163. You then need to add in money from the sale of the WPCA, which is roughly $13,500,000, giving the city a projected fund balance of $19,630,163. However, there is a planned use of $5,250,000 of that money for fiscal 26, the year that we're currently in, which brings that number down to $14,380,163. There is a projection of about another $1 million shortfall in the budget, which would then bring that number down to $13,380,163, or roughly 19.65% of the fiscal year 27 budget. Now again, that $1 million number could change. It could go up, or it can certainly go down. Just to give you an idea, Standard & Poor's recommends different balances for fund balances to determine the financial health of communities. We have a fund balance policy, and it talks about two numbers, 8% and 10%. So based on the projected fiscal year 27 budget, 8% would be $5,446,850. So as we currently stand, we're $7,933,313 above that number. If we go to 10%, that number would be $6,808,563. As we currently stand, or projected to stand, we would be $6,571,627 above that number.
And just a couple of questions there. Were there significant, you mentioned WPCA, were there any other significant sales of or acquisitions of assets?
A significant, no. Not to the level of WPCA.
Okay.
No.
And that, the sale price was
It was roughly $41 million.
$41 million,
Yep.
and so the remaining balance is 13 million?
The remaining balance, what is projected to transfer over, is $13,500,000, but that does not include the $7 million rate stabilization fund that's held separately. Correct, and that's not a part of the fund balance.
Anybody else have any questions on the floor?
Go back.
I do.
I'll try to turn.
No, Kurt, so I just want to make sure I understand. So we sold the WPCA for $41 million.
Roughly, I don't know the exact figure.
Trust me, I'm not going with the cents that you've been saying.
Yeah.
And we have $13 million of that left?
That's right.
That's not just what's left, that's what's left of the fund balance, period, right?
No, that's additional. Sorry.
That's-
Trying not to be rude to everybody. No, that's what's left from the sale of the WPCA by itself. It's separate from the city's fund balance. That's why I kind of went through in the beginning to give you the numbers so you can see the differences of the two.
Okay, so there's $13 million left of the $41 million from the WPCA.
Correct. But again,
And then addition.
the $7 million. It's a little less than $7 million, obviously,
Okay.
because it's been used.
I just
but-
feel that everyone always asks that question.
Right,
Yeah.
because
And
Yep.
it's been a very gray area. So
Yes.
that's why I want to clarify that and everyone to hear that.
One thing, too, to keep in mind, and again, I don't have the exact figures, but I believe there's about $13 million in debt that was paid off as well, that was outstanding for the WPCA. So that immediately needed to come off of that $41 million number. And again, I apologize for having that.
The net proceeds
Okay.
of the sale were 28.
Roughly 28 or 29 million. That's correct.
29 million, so
Yeah.
we're talking about 30.
Let's just say 30 million for ease of numbers. Yeah.
Wait, I have another question. So some of that $41 million from the sale of the WPCA, some of that money was used for prior budgets to balance them?
Correct. Yes.
How much for 24, for 23 and 24?
I'll make sure I have it correct. 24 and 25. 24 and 25.
24?
Fiscal 24 and fiscal 25, if I'm remembering everything correctly. Yeah, because 26, that's the 5,000,000,
26 is
5,250,000 I mentioned.
How much
before.
money was used from that $41 million to balance the budget for 24?
Yeah, I believe it's 7 million.
7?
Yeah.
And how about for 25?
20, no, 5 is...
Just give me a rough number.
It's 5,
Okay.
7, I believe, yeah.
Just again,
Three
I
or
want
four.
everyone here to hear this information because I do think that that's been very gray and there's been a lot of different numbers that have been thrown around. So everyone who's here, hear this.
I believe I have it in my binder. I need
Okay.
the exact numbers.
No, like I said, I'm not right into the sense of what you're saying, but yeah.
It's, I would say it's in the neighborhood roughly of 15 or 16 million
Okay.
in total.
So we had no other choice to take that money from the WPCA to balance those budgets for 24 and 25, because that's how much of a hole we were in 24 and 25.
I think that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay? Just wanted to be loud and clear.
When does the funds, the 13 million, go into the rest of the fund balance?
But I would defer that to the new CFO, but it's just going to be a transaction that'll happen in the next weeks.
So we sold for 41 million. We used 13 million of that to pay off the debt of the sale, right?
Roughly.
And then about 20 million was 7 million plus 7 plus 5 is 13, right? 12, 13 million, 12, right? And then we had 6 today, 6 this year, right?
5,250,000.
So we're at 17 million. Budget covers. We sold it for 41.
Roughly 40.
13 in debt, and then another 18 to fill falls. I don't know.
Okay, so the full breakdown. So the WPCA projected payoff was 969,100. And then there was a second small loan for 131,412. 7 million went into the rate stabilization fund. So what we'll call WPCA costs were 20,100,512. And then revenue stabilization for fiscal 24 was 5 million. Fiscal 25, 7,429,365. Projected currently from this year is 5,250,000.
So 41 minus 37 is what for the public? I just need to understand what this is. 41 minus. So we sold the farm for $4 million.
Yeah, I guess if you want to look at it that way, yeah, you can definitely say that.
4 million profit.
4 million profit.
Well, you have to look at the WPCA rate stabilization fund depending on how you want to.
Yeah, but
Look
what
at
that
that.
tells me is we put $7 million in these people's pockets up front for them to lower the rate, which eventually they're going to raise the rate on us anyways, right? So that would have been avoided to begin with if we had not sold the WPCA. Am I correct?
I think you're correct to a point, yes. Because, I mean, we couldn't say that rates wouldn't have increased even if the city maintained the asset, but
Fair enough, but we could have, we probably could have done a lot with 41 million.
could you have controlled it? Could the city have controlled the increase of the rates maybe better than a public utility? Potentially, yes. Yeah. It's a fair statement. Yep. Again, I apologize for having my back.
That's okay. That's okay. We'd rather you speak to the public. We're okay.
Good deal, so.
I'm going to ask this question. So in 24, we took about $7 million out of that $41 million and plugged the holes in the 2024 budget, correct?
About 5 million in 24. 7 million was in 25.
Okay, so I have them, okay, all right, but
It was originally reversed.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to grab the sheet, so I didn't.
Why did we have such a deficit in those 2 years? Well, I mean, I don't get it.
Spending exceeded revenue.
And why wasn't it brought up?
Spending
Why
exceeded
wasn't it brought
revenue.
up at the time?
I'm sorry?
Why wasn't it brought up at the time when the budgets were proposed or passed?
Why
To
wasn't
the
it?
public? Why wasn't the shortfall proposed or notified?
I can't speak to that. I can't.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, what
no
it was,
transparency.
was the mill rate was kept arbitrarily low.
Yes.
Right. Do we know what the projected mill rate would have been if we continued with those shortfalls?
I mean, if you just use guerrilla math and assume 1.5 million per mill, so you're looking at 3 mills in 1 year, 5 mills the next year, and another 3 mills a year after that, give or take. Again, that's just.
I'm just trying to figure out what we spent the money on.
Because we were in such a hole.
How, but how do we spend so much money in this town didn't benefit at all?
You essentially, you pay your mortgage with your savings account.
I know that,
Yeah.
because I would never foolishly do it. That'd
Yeah.
be like one of the most foolish things that I think anybody would ever do, right? So I'm just trying to figure out, how did we spend so much money that we got in such a big debt? But what did we spend the money on? That's what I want to know. Who here benefited from spending so much money?
I would, when I say argue, I don't mean argue in a bad sense. I would argue that it's not a spending problem, it's a revenue problem. The mill rate should have been increased year after year to keep up with the normal spending that was happening. And because that was not being done, you fall further behind. And each year you fall behind, it then compounds to the next year and to the next year, and the problem keeps multiplying.
As a matter of inflation.
Kurt, can I ask? So, in your opinion, and I'm only asking for your opinion as a finance person, why didn't they increase the mill rate slowly instead of, why were we forced to sell such a big asset in order to use that money to keep taxes lower when we were just digging holes?
I think the priority at the time was to keep the mill rate as low as possible, regardless of the cause or outcome.
Why?
The cause or outcome?
Why? Because I think that's what they ran out.
No. That was their motive. But why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think, and I can't speak to the initial practice because it started long before I got here, but
Fair.
I think there was some concern with regards to COVID, times being tough for people. They wanted to keep taxes lower, try to make it more affordable, which I think is a great principle all in, but if you're going to do that, then you need to reduce your spending or make the hard decisions that go along with that. You can't have both.
Were
You
those
can't.
alternative avenues like pursued ever or even thought of?
I think different things were thought of where they tried to be creative to come up with revenue solutions, but none that would have kept up with the expenses as they were at the time.
Wasn't keeping the mill rate low, was that prior to COVID though?
Yeah, it goes back. Like I said, I got here
So I don't think we can use COVID as a...
in 20, no, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was the mindset when I was here because
When
of
you were
COVID.
here,
And, people struggling coming out of COVID and things like that. But the practice had happened, started before that. I can't tell you exactly when, but 15, 16, somewhere in that ballpark.
So if I may add, we had an income problem,
A revenue problem, yes.
and then for the spending, was there any frivolous spending?
Well, I guess frivolous spending is in the eyes of the person who's making, so if you're asking my specific opinion, do I think there was frivolous spending? Yes.
So, just so everybody in the room understands, because this is obviously a public hearing, we're in a hole, we all know that we're in a hole, right? We're acknowledging that we're in a hole because of previous mayors, so now we need to work towards going forward from now on. But I think it just needs to publicly be known that Obviously, everybody acknowledges the misuse of funds in the previous administration, and that has no, and should have no reflection upon the current administration or the current budget being proposed. Because the current budget being proposed, correct me if I'm wrong, Alderman, we would not, nobody here wants to see an increase in the mill rate, right?
No.
Okay, so just making sure that the understanding is this is not the budget being proposed is not Mayor Tiska or the Alderman staff saying we want people to pay more taxes. The budget being proposed is we are in a bad spot and we did make up for pitfalls of a previous administration that had serious financial issues, and that's saying it lightly.
Well, I'd just say that without not recognizing inflation,
Correct, and not recognize inflation, yes, sir.
I think that was a big issue, that they did not recognize inflation, which would have required larger increases in the
And now we have a new CFO joining us as well to help reestablish kind of our way forward now. Because I think that's what we all want to do here is, right, move forward. I've done this conversation over and over about how many times they failed us. We've got to move forward at this point.
But to your point, Tyler, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Kenny, to that point, the thing I want to stress about the budget that's been put forward by the mayor is that's the thing that he has stressed. While this is an uncomfortable budget that needs to be put forward to the residents, it's a budget that needs to be put forward to the residents because you have to start the process of rebuilding. This is the only way you're going to do that. If you don't, then what's going to happen is the problem is going to just continue to compound. So there is use of, we'll call it one-time revenue, fund balance, whatever, in this budget, but that is needed to be stepped down over a 3-year period to get you back to neutral. And then once you get to neutral, now the organic growth of the mill rate, that's what you should really be basing your spending on, and then a realistic level of an increase in taxes that everyone is comfortable with. If you're keeping your increase in taxes below 3%, and I know nobody wants to pay more in taxes, but that's very realistic because you have to deal with contractual raises, you have to deal with benefits, utilities. We have hundreds of thousands of square feet of office space, so we have to be realistic when it comes to putting these budgets together. I think the budget that the mayor has put forward is extremely that. I mean, he charged us with doing this. We spent hours on hours going through this. Joe was there as well. And just grinding through this budget, trying to find as much savings as we possibly could. It's tight. It's going to be tough for departments to do what they need to do. But if we don't take this proactive step now, the problem is only going to get worse next year. So, and the year after. And if the problem gets worse, it's not going to be good.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt.
I'll be here all night, so.
Thanks, Kurt.
And a lot of what Kurt said was already something that I was going to cover in the presentation. Let me just see if I can get that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyway, yes, we do have, as Mr. Miller indicated, we went through each line, each department with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that the revenues and expenses were realistic. So just looking at the expenses, we can see the expenses are 68 million for the projected for the next year. As you can see over the shoulder, over my shoulder.
Dan, you mind speaking to the mic?
Speak closer to the mic. Is that better?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We asked each department to try to keep their budgets as low as possible. We've asked for sacrifices from everybody. An example I could think of was was with the fire department. They need a certain number of pieces of safety equipment every year, of safety clothing every year. We've authorized 4, but giving them only 4 is going to put them in arrears. So that on the existing budget, they're really only allocated for 4 pieces of safety equipment, safety clothing, and where they probably need at least 5 to purchase 5 per year in order to maintain the safety of the fire department. There's hundreds of examples of areas that this budget was more austere than the department really needed. And we're also looking at revenue, and again, the revenues have to match the expenses. It's not a federal government. We can't print our own money. So again, those are the anticipated revenues for this year. We expect to try to find as many new sources of revenue as possible. For example, the scale at the refuse area.
Public Works.
Public Works.
Transfer station.
Transfer station. Okay, I'm learning the terms as I become, and as I serve my office. The scale there at the transfer station was not working. It is scheduled to be fixed in the next few months, and that will become a source of some revenue. We had not been charging anybody for disposal of refuse. Now we're going to be able to charge people for disposal of some refuse. So, and we are looking at every other department for ideas on how we can increase revenues so that we can keep our taxes, our property taxes, to a minimum. There will be, yes, based on, as you can see, based on the projection of property taxes over the years, the projected property tax would need to be increased 9.98%, which is a lot. We can increase them 3% without a referendum. So if we have to increase them, we will. I mean, we are also looking at other potential sources now. Our current administration is has been in touch with the state of Connecticut, and we are on good terms with everybody in the state government. So they are all, our Representative George Cabrera, Senator George Cabrera, and Representative Cara Rochelle are both aware of the severe issues that we have right now. And they are looking at exploring ways to try to mitigate the difference. So that's we're hopeful, but we are not counting on that. Should we not be an increase if we fail in the referendum, if we fail to get sufficient funds from the state or other support elsewhere, the consequences could be dire. And we are doing everything we can to avoid dire consequences. So that is all I have for my presentation, my portion of the presentation. I will turn it back over to
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
You know, I didn't run for mayor because I want to be mayor. I'm a retired engineer. I'm a retired operations manager. My wife and I like to travel. I have a granddaughter. Had a great life. And a lot of people asked me to look at what was going on. And what I found was a lot of bad things. We had money in the budget. There was no such money. Expected revenue, future revenue, whatever you want to call it, that money was never there. The budget was never balanced. So when we came in and I looked at the budget, I said, well, where's this money? How could there be money if we're in litigation with these people? So right off the top, we took out $1.5 million. Right? That was in this budget. We don't have that money. Another thing that we took out was money that the police, it was very small, it was like $15,000. It never existed. So we looked at things like that. Now, the day I took office, I've told people before, I'll tell you again, I got a notice on my desk. I had to sign for a $698,000 loan on $37 million of inventory that we bought from for the city. Now, most of you don't know this, but 14 or 15 years ago, I was the energy guru, so to speak, for the town. And I had something to do with putting solar on the high school. And I started to put solar on the what do you call it, the garbage dump, the landfill. Right? I didn't finish that. That was something I was doing. And I also put the kibosh on us getting into the energy business. On 4th Street, there's a small hydroelectric plant there. And they tried to sell it to the city. And they told me, you know, $1 million, it's yours. And I remember I sat where Mr. Pergola is, and the mayor was over there, and I said to the person selling it, we're not in the energy business. What happens when we sell it and there's a problem? Who's going to run it? He said, well, you know, that's your problem. And that's when I said, well, you don't have any skin in the game. We're not an energy company. So this isn't my first rodeo with energy. I know a lot about it. I've studied it. The worst thing the city could have done is gone into an agreement where we're going to run this power facility up the road. Number one, it was too big for what was allowed by the state. So we've been negotiating with the state behind the scenes, trying to get them to allow us to build something smaller. With that, we can't use all $37 million worth of inventory, so we're going to have to look at, can we sell part of that? With that, who would we sell the power to? Because there was never a customer for the power. We're working on that. There was one other thing. So the bottom line is, folks, we've got $37 million of equipment that we're paying interest on. It's not included in the budget. The interest was never included in the budget. Money's coming due in June, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to pay for that. And I do not have it in this budget because I'm working with Hyaxion and JCI to come up with a solution. And if I don't know what to tell you we're going to do, because we're in really big trouble. But that's what I'm doing. I'm protecting the city. And I've got a group of people that work in energy. They're helping us. There had to be 15 people helping me behind the scenes. So I want to tell you that's what's going on. This is what we inherited. We have no money. I have a zero-based budget this year. Last year, we all had a tax increase. I don't want to pay any increases in taxes. I just want to run the city, right? I just want to run the city the right way. Last year, you had 0% increase for the, no, you didn't have 0% increase for the city. You had no increase in revenue for the city. So we're behind. And this year, my budget, 0%. But we're still behind because I'm millions of dollars in the hole before I walk in the door. So I want you all to know that. So we are going to have a referendum. You know, Seymour has a town type of government where they vote on budgets all the time. This is a city government. The way city government is run is that the mayor and the board of aldermen come up with a balanced budget and send it to the people to tell them what's going on. Well, right now we're struggling to do that because it's not. They took that away from us. We vote on the budget. I can't balance the budget 3%. It's not possible. We're spending more than that. We're spending more than that every year. So I've cut everything I can cut. I've found things that weren't there. We're going to build a new school. We're going to have to bond that. Now, I could have reneged on the bonds at $37 million. I could have reneged on that. But if I did, our bond rating would have been 0, and we wouldn't be able to build a school, and we wouldn't be able to do anything. So I'm between a rock and a hard place, but I'm telling you, I'm working really hard to resolve this. And I need your support. Unfortunately, 3%, folks, you can't talk to anybody. You cannot hold someone to 3% when you have expenses there, labor unions, buildings that are getting worn down, heating furnaces that break down, cooling units that break down. We all have our homes. We all have these problems. So you need to know it's not a perfect world out there. I'll give you for instance this past week. No one feel, right? Everybody thinks that's all done. Well, there's a broken sewer line, which is why we couldn't hook up the new bathroom. When they went to hook it up, they found that the sewer line was broken. The city's responsible for that. That's like $15,000. That's not budgeted for. Someone left a pump running that uses the facility, so I'm not going to point fingers, over the weekend, and they burnt up an $8,000 pump. So we have to have a lockout system for that. We got to make sure it doesn't happen again. We have kids going up there at night and damaging the field. We're going to have to put a gate in. That's going to be another $4,000 or $5,000. This is all stuff that's not budgeted. You would never know it. And the other thing is we were going to knock down a building up there behind home plate, and I stopped it. I said, why are we going to do that? Let's save the $15,000 or $20,000. Let's paint it a nice Ansonia blue, put a charger on it, and let's see if we can buy cameras to keep an eye on the field at night instead of throwing that money away. And another thing I did is the field, they wanted to put sod on it, the practice field. And they came to me and they said they needed $50,000 for sod. You know what I told them? What's wrong with grass, seed, and water? All right? That's what they got. So it's not like I'm throwing money away. I'm not. I watch every penny. Well, the new guy, he knows I watch every penny. Kim's not here. She'll tell you I read everything. I ask questions. I don't make all the right decisions, but I make a lot of good decisions. And I'm here to tell you, I need your help. We got to pass money in the referendum, and I'm not here to hurt the town. I'm making $52,000. I used to make 3 times that when I retired, folks. All right? I'm not kidding. All right? So I had a very successful career. I'm doing this because I love the town. I grew up here. I was an all-state athlete here. I got a chance to go to college because of this town. So I'm very proud to represent you as the mayor. So that's all I have to say, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. And we're in trouble, but we're working really hard to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we go to public session, I would just like to say something. This is my first time as elected official, and I'm very fortunate and honored that these ladies and gentlemen in front of me here elected me president of this board. But along with that job comes I'm angry, and you should all be too, because of the way this city was handled before we here. And I don't want to point fingers, but I can only reiterate what some people have said here tonight. We inherited this. We are working with damaged goods. We're in big trouble. And as I open the public session, I hope that any questions, any comments will be couched in the knowledge that we are not trying to hurt you. We are not trying to get more money from you. We are trying to survive as a city. I've lived here all my life, and I'm proud of this city. So now, regardless of partisan politics or whatever, we have to pull together and fix this problem. And I hope this budget process that we're going through will be step number one in doing that. And with that, the public session is open. I would kindly ask you to keep your comments brief. I'm sure there are a few people who have questions. Okay, let's go. So, is there anyone from the public who would like to make a comment? Step right up. Name, address, serial number.
My name is Stephanie Kutchma, 227 Wakely Avenue. I have a question regarding, it has to do with the revenue side. Does anybody have any idea what percentage of the properties are arrears in taxes right now? And
Yeah, we would have to, the tax assessor would have that. We have more than a 98% collection, more than 98%, which is very good.
okay, because my concern was that if it was a high rate of properties behind in taxes, what would we be looking at with an increase in taxes? How close are some of the properties that we could end up having a much larger amount of properties going into arrears, which obviously would affect revenue into the budget, into the city, and then have an effect on the revenue. Because I know there's a lot of empty properties around. So, my concern, my family was involved with owning properties for a long time in the Bridgeport area, the greater Bridgeport area. And when I look at the shopping center, the Big Y shopping center, and see Marshall's as basically the only tenant there, I think, does he pay taxes, or is he not able to pay his taxes? And I'm not asking for that answer. I just, as a resident of the city, when I drive around,
Well, we all have the same concerns, all right? Number one, I have the tax collector going after people right now, okay? And I have them going after people that have owed taxes for years. One of them is over $400,000. And I'm talking about 10 years. We just collected $100,000 from somebody that wrote this nasty email. They copied the Board of Aldermen that I didn't respond to them. They sent me a note at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. When I looked into it, the problem was 23 years old on Monday. Now, I'm here late every Friday. Everybody else goes home at 12, 1 o'clock. I'm here late till 5. So I didn't get the note until after I went home. Yeah. But it was a nasty note, like nobody wanted to talk to them. And the note I wrote to them was, you didn't have to send a nasty note after business hours to the people on the Board of Aldermen. I would have been happy to sit down with you. But now that I did the investigation, you're 23 and a half years in arrears on liens and fines and everything else. I'm sorry, you should have called me and I would have sat down with you. Now it's out of my hands. 23 years is enough. So, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but you got to draw a line somewhere in the sand.
Oh, well.
And we did get the money, by the way.
Good, good. I'm glad you're being. I'm glad they're aggressively going after the people.
Well,
that's great.
And I live here. I have a nice house. I don't want to raise my taxes, but they should have been gradually going up, little by little. And listen, that's nice when you're mayor to say, hey, I don't raise taxes. Look at Shell. They got a great tax rate. The guy's been there for, I don't know, 40 years. I don't know. But when you don't raise when you don't raise the taxes, the mayor gets to keep his car another couple of years. The mayor gets to get the big bump in his pay. So my pay is $52,000. The guy that went out was making close to $90,000. Okay, so that's a nice way to keep yourself in office. So I want to point that out to people because I'm not here for the money. I don't plan on being here a long, long time because I'm too old, too tired, and my wife's going to divorce me. I'm doing this because I love the city, not for the money. And I've got a great team here. Everybody on here, they like to pick at each other a little bit. They like to talk about things, but they come to a conclusion at the end. And that's all I ask. And you know what? Sometimes they tell me I'm wrong, which I appreciate, okay? So it's not me telling them what to do, it's me telling them what I think, and then telling me and giving me feedback. So it's a team effort. And that's the way it's got to be in the city. And that's the way it is with me. So don't count on me being here in 10 years, okay?
Great.
Do you have any other
Thank you.
questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Kurt,
Thank you, Mr. Well, yeah, I just wanted to kind of answer the question a little bit as best I could. So we project to collect 98% of the taxes that are out there. So we have what's known as a back debt allowance. And then we also add a line for back taxes, so people who owe that. And we project to collect about $800,000 a year. So while we get them all, we definitely do not. But the budget is built on the assumption that you're not going to collect all the taxes anyway each year. And the one thing I can say, over the last 5 or 6 years, our tax collector has been extremely consistent in the way that the two of them do their job. And what you've seen is just this steady line. She produces a great report for the Aldermen, all elders, each month that tracks every cent that comes in. So it's a really good thing. So if you're curious tonight, you can pull up the packets and see that information, or we can certainly provide that.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to step up? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Christopher Ahern. I live at 44 Condon Drive. We also own a house on Hodge Avenue, a multifamily house. And I'm probably the guy this meeting doesn't want to hear from, but I would like to know, a couple of years ago, I think this is our 3rd year now, our two-family is being taxed higher than single families. I'm not sure why that's being done, but I understand it was under the guise of absentee landlords and such like that. So I was just curious, as you're setting this budget, are you guys considering anything for these two-family or multifamily houses that their owners are living in town, are still in good standing with their taxes? Are you thinking about any credits for people like this, or is this something that we're going to go forward and I'm always going to be paying more taxes on one house than I should on the other house?
That's a question for the assessor, the specifics.
Understood, but I know you're studying budgets there.
So when you come in on the right-hand side, there's the assessor.
Yes.
His name is Dave Graybach.
Yes.
I suggest you talk to him, because I don't know how to manage.
Understood. I appreciate that, Mayor.
Sir, don't go anywhere.
Okay, understand.
Dana?
Hi.
Hello, Dana.
Dana works in the assessor's office.
Oh, hello, Dana.
I work there.
What's the answer, Dana?
I'll keep it very brief, but for single and multifamily homes, values are based off of the market, so what they're selling for. And that's why the state requires us to do a revaluation every 5 years to bring all properties up to fair market value. The last time we really had a recession was back in '07. Since then, it's been climbing steadily and slowly, but we do have another revaluation coming up, just to warn you, for the upcoming year, and that will affect all properties. We are seeing a climb in commercial sales, which is nice. It'll shift that tax burden a little bit off of single and multifamily homes. But unfortunately, these types of home is determined by the market, which,
Understood.
as you know, is highly inflated.
Understood. So there is no separation or extra tax for multifamily dwellings in Ansonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say it's like a high, it's not really.
Step up. Oh, I'm sorry.
My name's Thomas Egan. I live at 20 Platt Street, Ansonia, Connecticut.
Hello.
We've got an absolutely beautiful view of the entire downtown Ansonia. It's just above Munch. You guys have a very difficult job to do here today. You've got a budget that's out of whack. Taxes are going up. And it's difficult. It's very difficult, and I applaud you all for taking on this job. I sure as heck don't want it. When we're talking about revenue streams and bringing in increased taxes, and I can tell you everyone behind me doesn't want to pay any more taxes. Last January, I did a presentation for the redevelopment of Ansonia. It was a $150 million redevelopment plan. The first steel mill in the United States, a solar panel manufacturing facility, a ceramics facility. It would have brought in an additional $20 million a year in tax revenue. And at a time when we're raising taxes, we could have been going to referendum this week because we could have been lowering them. To me, that's shocking. I've given it my presentation, my proposal. It's on file with Beth Lynch. It's been on file since last November. I've emailed it to the mayor's office. I urge you all to take a second look before that project goes to either Chicago or Ruskin, Virginia. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else like to make a comment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. The city was in shambles, multi-million dollars in debt. Here comes the Tooth Fairy, I'm going to give you $150 million to bail you out. Great. I looked into the name on the paper, the website. I couldn't find anything to substantiate the claims. And I'm not going to put a steel mill in the middle of Ansonia. So I've had several people come in, talked about putting in a solar project on the, I forgot the name of the building, the extrusion mill, which is 175,000 square feet. We're investing $2 million from a state grant to clean it up, to bring people in there, to see what we can put in there. We're also going to put in the fuel cells, hopefully, that's what we're negotiating. That's going to bring in several $100,000 a year. And then we're going to look at the big picture, how we can improve it. But I can't have, this is not the first investor I've talked to in the last 6 months that's got this great idea. We got to go slow. It's a brownfield. We got to clean it up. Like I said, there's a building we probably could use, and it's full of contaminants. And we've had 3 people come in and look at it and say they could use it. So it's real easy to say, yeah, I'm going to fix the world, but you've got to have financial behind you. And when I see a website with a name, there's nothing there, I'm sorry, I got to move on. I don't have time for that. All right? So that's what I want you to know what happened. I did look into it. I didn't see anything financially behind it. And I am talking to people that have finances behind it. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's great. You can say that. It's great you have a plan, but until you show me the money, I'm sorry, the city's not going to go forward, especially when we're $1 million in debt. We have to be very, very careful. And when you do have a proposal, it'll go through the Board of Aldermen. They will look at it. But right now, we're not in a position to move forward on anything in that Brownsfield until we clear up the fuel cell issue. That's what's hurting us right now. So thank you. Thanks for your comment, Tom. We're going forward. We'll look at it again.
I appreciate that. Solar panel manufacturing.
Yeah, we're talking about that, not manufacturing, assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who would like to make a comment? I see you back there.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Farrar, 1 Fox Hill Terrace. Yeah, you guys have a tough job, but you were put in this position, and I hope that the residents of Ansonia are as understanding and reasonable as I am, because I've been here 10 years, and my taxes have barely gone up in that time. That's weird to me. I don't want my taxes to go up, but everything else has gone up. Everything else has gone up. But basically not my taxes. So I expect them to go up. Should we have to jump like this? No. But we have to, because they should have been up already. I do have a couple of questions. The WPCA sale money, was it used for anything else besides filling the budget holes over the last few fiscal years?
Yes. $2,380,159 for the solar carports and $375 for other miscellaneous capital projects, which I can't give you exactly.
Sure. Is it forecasted that the remaining WPCA money will be used to fill the budget deficit over the next 3 fiscal years?
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, there's currently a plan that steps it down from $3 million to $1.5 million to $1 million to none.
Okay.
For 3 years.
And then the last thing is, what would support from the state look like? Are we talking about loans, bonds, grants? What does this look like?
Right now, there's the two main things that the legislature is talking about is an upgrade for ECS funds and also an increase to the PQOT, the Mohegan PQOT fund, I believe is what it's actually called. That's the slot revenue.
Okay.
Those are the two main sources that the state is targeting. The concern you have is, are those going to be reoccurring? So my understanding is the PQOT fund will not be, so it will be a one-time bump. But the ECS, they're finally making the correction. The biggest issue with the ECS funds is they have not kept up with the statutory formula for inflation over the last 10 or 15 years. And Bayers and First Selectmen have been in Hartford, Mayor Tiske as well, fighting for this change. So it seems that now the legislature is getting behind that, starting to take proactive steps to catch up to that.
ECS?
Oh, sorry, education cost sharing. So it's the state's funding for public education in each community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good question.
Yeah, great question.
Young lady, I see you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Millie Reels. I'm at 121 Gray Hill Road. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for all the hard work that everyone is doing. Mayor, thank you for working hard and trying to get us out of this big hole that we're in. I really appreciate that. We all really appreciate that. God willing, we will get out of it. There's two things. A referendum, and excuse my ignorance, I'm not quite sure how a referendum would work, because I know the number 3% was thrown out, and then a possible 9.8% increase in our real estate. I'm not quite sure how that works, and because I know my husband and I, last year it was, when we went out and we voted, I don't know, 3-4 times on a referendum. So I don't know, and at the end of the day, I think it was nothing, right? It was just, exactly, it was such a waste. So I just, need clarification on that. And the second one, and then I'll sit down because I got a bad leg, can't stand up too much. The second one is, how can we attract business here in Ansonia to get into some of this commercial real estate that's just sitting there vacant? Our Big Y, our Bob's, our Rite Aid, our Stop and Shop. I mean, these are big buildings that are just sitting there, and I'm sure there's a way that we can try to attract some of these businesses to come in to help on our tax-based revenue. So that, and then I think that's it. And again, thank you all, and it's so great to see some awesome faces out there. Yay. Thank you, okay? And that's it. Thank you.
On the Big Y Shopping Center.
Can I take
Sure, go
one?
ahead.
I'll take the first one. So referendum basically.
Do you mind if I sit down?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Please make yourself comfortable. Ultimately, what it comes down to is, as a political move, in order to stay in office, Cassetti decided to enable a 3%, that the aldermen in the city themselves cannot raise taxes above a 3% rate without the city, its residents and the constituents approving that budget. When it comes down to it, is at the end of the day, that allowed the mayor to use the fund balance, the balance that we had saved, and all the $41 million that we sold for the WPCA to keep the taxes low. And as Anthony previously stated, right, everybody should expect inflation year over year and expect some kind of increase. And as a political move, it was, I'm going to use our savings to pay our mortgage, as Kurt stated earlier, which nobody in their right mind would ever really do. So that's the answer to the first one. Mayor, I'll let you go ahead and work on the second.
Okay, I've been here 5 months. I had a major developer. Well, I'm not going to say who, but I have one major developer coming in. We'll be hearing about it shortly. It's going to be a big project. I want to say it's like a $60 to $70 million project. Now, as far as Big Y Shopping Center, I had another major developer look at that and try to buy it. And what we found out was there was something going on behind the scenes. There was a sale pending. So I had somebody that was willing to go in there and redevelop it. and it got sold out underneath, right underneath us. I think the name of the developer that's buying is Ripco Development or something like that. Yeah, anyway, so I had my, how do I say it? I had my hand on the door and I was ready to push it open, and it got slammed shut in my arm. So I had a plan there. But we are going to have one major development that's going to bring in $300,000 or $400,000 a year to the city. There's going to be some businesses and some condominiums and some housing. And it's going to be a beautiful development. But I can't announce that until we get it all finalized. It's in my plans. And the Board of Aldermen will be part of that discussion. Okay? So we're not sitting on our laurels. Okay? I hope that answers some of your questions.
Can I just tell you, Millie, we're putting the Economic Development Commission back. Let's start it.
Yeah, it's not where I want it to be, but we're going to restart it. We have people on it. I really need to get it going again, but right now my whole thing is that fuel cell project. I got to get that so we can not get bankrupt over that $37 million project that's hanging out there with no revenue. But that's my big priority today. It's been my big priority for the last 6 weeks. And yes, I've lost sleep over it. And yes, I've lost sleep over this budget. So, and these guys have too. They hear from me what's going on. Yeah, we're going to work on the grocery store. I tried. Let me tell you, I tried several times. So we'll see what happens with the new developer. They are talking about putting in a retail store there. What that means, I don't know. That's in the Big Boy Shopping Center. But I don't have any other details. What I heard is secondhand, but it's being sold. Does that answer anybody, help you at all? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to make a comment? Hi, Diane.
Hi, good evening. Diane Stroman, 66 High Street, Ansonia. I'd like to try to direct this to Dana. Maybe she could explain, because when people are thinking about the budget and looking at the increases, some people are, well, I can't say they're upset. They're upset because they're afraid. They don't know how they're going to be able to make it. They don't really understand, what the increase is. So what's 9% going to do? How's that going to impact me? Those types of things. And also, if you could talk to, we hear a lot that people's taxes didn't go up when others did. I know mine went up $1,000 last year. Even though the administration said that they were not increasing taxes. And I know there was some kind of a reason for that, because I think I came in and asked the questions about why do my taxes go up when I'm hearing that there's no tax increase. So you may just want to elaborate on that if you can, just so that people will understand when they're going to the polls and voting for the referendum. How, because some people are saying that's not true, taxes did go up. So
the projection that there would be zero increase for certain households is based on the average valued home. So as you know, some houses are below average, some are above. Those who are at average and above saw an increase. Those who are below average saw no increase or a very small decrease, which was very rare. Does that answer? Is there?
I just want people to hear it. So.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Dana.
Great question.
Anyone else want to say, Lewis?
Hi, everybody. Lou Schwartz, 24 Hillside Avenue. I don't know if this is not a question. Well, first of all, let me thank you guys for taking on this job. Because, wow.
Yeah, that's what we say.
Nothing good about it.
That's not true.
Oh, you're good.
Well, no, I'm just bantering here. There is a lot good about it. These are people who are dedicated, and they want to fix problems. So it is good. The process is going to be murder. But I'm impressed, they impress me.
Me too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, appreciate that.
I think you all are doing an excellent job, given the hands we were all dealt here.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's my question? My statement is, been living in Ansonia for 46 years, and my overriding fear about the tax increases is that I'm going to be taxed out of Ansonia. Because once these taxes kick in, and I still have a mortgage, so once the mortgage and the escrow increase above my Social Security payment, that's it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Louis.
Thanks.
I think that's the last thing I think anybody wants anything to happen to.
Anyone else? Sir, did I see you raise your hand again or no? Anthony, was that it? Oh, okay. You were just waving hi. Okay, I got you.
I always have more to say.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Going once, going twice. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Thank you for your comments. Public session is closed. At this point, I would like to invite our board members to discuss amongst ourselves anything we would like to concerning the budget. I can't. Help me out here, guys.
Just the last one. The last one.
What's that? Okay, none of the, okay. Well, in that case,
Oh, wait, we got Carl.
oh, I'm sorry, Carl.
Based on this budget, if it does get passed through referendum, where we increase it to 9.8%, what is the average cost to the taxpayer? What are they going to incur? Is it around $500, give or take, a household? I'm just trying to get an idea.
Some education will be there.
What did we look at, 7.3%?
If this passes as is.
Yeah.
At 9.8, correct?
Where it is now, and they pass it through and let it go through referendum over that 3% threshold. If we kept it at 9.8, what would be the average increase?
Well, we're not going to keep it at 9. Okay, go ahead.
Just trying to get an idea.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, it's a great question, but it's not necessarily a straightforward answer because it's going to depend.
Varies.
As Dan had said, some houses are going to change
I thought
their
maybe around
assessments.
$500 increase. Is
I
that
would
something
say in that range for
Give
a
or take
normal
it
size
out.
house, you're probably looking at around $500.
Just trying to give an idea to the public out there so they have an understanding
I think that's
of what the
probably fair.
increase may be for them.
500 for the year.
For the year too, just for the year.
For the year.
Distributed over 12 months.
Well, when I talked about the budget in January, I had real numbers and I presented them publicly, so I don't have those numbers in front of me. And that was the worst case scenario. We're going to do better than that.
We're going to strive to do better than that, yes.
We're going to try to decrease the 9.8, correct?
Yes, correct.
I do think, though, that if we are encouraging the residents of Ansonia to vote, I think it has to be pretty clear of what the question that Carl was asking, right? You might say to Mrs. Smith, we got it down to 7.9. That might not mean anything to her. So I think we need to say, okay, we need to give some kind of average of what our residents are going to expect dollar-wise, not percentage-wise.
So hypothetically, you're saying if a person's mortgage right now is $2,000, given the increase of 7%, it might go up $2,300 or $2,500.
Well, no, that's a month. We're talking about a $500
$500
average.
$500 a year.
A year.
So
I did a
it's-
little quick gorilla math, and it's about $230 a year per 100,000. give or take. So $200 house assessed at 200, and a 200,000 is going to be about $460.
Well, the easiest way to figure it out is to take the assessment and divide it by 1,000 and then multiply it by the mill rate. So that way you come up with what your taxes are. And if we have to increase the mill rate by 4%, that's, you're going to take your assessment and do 4 extra mills.
That's what I'm saying, people don't understand that, Lisa. That's what I'm saying, the mills and that.
If we give them a solid number.
Yeah, we need to say to the people and say, your house on an average of $300,000 is going to see a tax increase of $400. That's what our people want to hear. They don't want to hear mill rates, they don't want to hear percentage, they want to know dollar amount exact.
How much is it going to affect the bottom line?
Exactly.
You need to know what your assessment is, because the assessment is different than value. Your assessment is only 70% of your actual market value. So if you take that assessment and divide it by 1,000, because it's a mill rate, which is 1,000. So if you divide that and multiply it by the mill rate, then you
Lisa,
figure it out.
They're not going to understand this.
Mike, the new CFO, put out a number, like I did in January.
Yep. I see,
Everybody-
yeah.
To make it simple, that's all, round and round numbers, right?
I think we had for a medium, single-family assessment, you had, let's say in 2025 was 186,550. That's the assessment, not the market value. The increase would be $423 for the year.
I think it's important too, is there a way to include that with the referendum vote, like during the vote? Is there a way to incorporate that?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, with the slip, that way people are cognitive of what's
Right.
going on.
That's actually a very good idea.
You could have an explanatory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Explanatory.
Get the word.
So I think that may be one of the best ways to resolve this.
And that
Okay,
makes
what
it
am I
very
looking at?
transparent. Everybody can know your assessment, and we can help you figure out what the tax increase is going to be.
Lisa, that number was $429.06 on that average home.
That's your job, Bob. There you go.
It's you know, going to the gas station, actually, which is a lot less than going to the gas station.
Right.
So that's
Gas at PJ's went up 2 cents in an hour today.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I mean, the only other thing I would talk to, would like the auditors to consider is what are we going to do if we do need to go to a referendum? And how are we going to publicize it, and how are we going to do it? I think at this point it's a little premature to know exactly what we're going to do, but it's something we want to think about. Exactly how are we going, because it's, I mean, we're the politicians. We're the ones whose responsibility is to communicate to our constituents. So what are we going to do?
Dan, I want to interject something, and you're right. Next week, we should be hearing from the state with real numbers. And the Board of Aldermen Finance Committee should convene the Finance Committee. We'll get the numbers from the state, go over them. We'll have Mike, answer any questions on your CFO, and then go through with the whole board. I think that's the best way. That's me personally, that's the way.
But we've already determined that we're going to have further meetings.
For the Finance Committee.
You're right.
No,
Right.
The Finance Committee,
and then
the Board of Aldermen.
I think I would like to, like I said, explanatory, but in the ballot would probably be one of the best things.
Well, we're not there yet.
But we're not
That's
there
a good idea.
yet.
I like that idea. I like that.
We're
I really like that.
hoping the state comes in, helps us out, and we could decrease this 9.8.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I just want to throw this out there for further discussion. If I was 22% in debt, and Ann came to my house and was like, I'm going to give you 10% of that debt for free, I would still personally want to commit to the 7%, the 7 or 9% additional. You understand how much basically the state's going to give you a golden egg, and we can also, if we want to be proactive and beneficiary, we could still apply that 8% and take that 3 to 5 year plan correct? To rectify the issue and knock it down to a year and a half.
I get what
So I'm just saying, depending on what the state provides, it may not be a bad idea to still roll forward with the expectation of we stay at this 8%. Because we're at 26% negative, I think. Is that where we're at, somewhere around?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right.
So we take 8 this year. State gives us 5, right? State gives us half of what we want to do next year. We accomplish it this year by getting that 3, 5, and still doing the 8. So 8 plus 5, 13, we accomplish more than half in 1 year. That's just my, you know what I mean?
Okay, we can't, it's all supposition until the state.
Yeah. We don't have hard numbers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So I just want to say, just throwing it out there for, you know, if the state does come and help, and hey, we're gonna pay a lot of this, it may still be beneficiary to have, you know, a public opinion on, do we want to jump out on this debt quicker, or do we want to prolong this 3 to 5 year process, depending on where people are at mentally?
You know, big picture, we're in a lot of debt, so it's not gonna make it 1 year.
No,
We'll plan it out.
I understand that. When I mean 1 year, I mean we accomplish a lot more in 1 year. We accomplish 3 years what we accomplished in 1 year by doing what I'm proposing. So we take, instead of a 5-year plan to get out of this debt, we knock it down to a 3-year plan by accomplishing more than in 1 year than we would in subsequent 2-3 years.
That's what Mike's doing.
Yeah. We're doing
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Exactly that.
We're actually running scenario
Work on
analysis
that.
today.
No, he's actually doing it.
No, yeah.
Scenarios.
Yeah.
It's just my proposal.
It's a good.
I see what your proposal is, but then we also need to consider the other hand of our elderly, the people who are on fixed income.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is,
I
if the
understand
state
what you're
says they're not going to give us anything, we're still coming.
you are saying.
No, I get it.
I'm also just trying to say that we also need to consider, on the other hand,
Right.
the citizens who are on fixed income, are elderly, things like that as well.
You need to bear in mind too, the referendum rules.
Yes.
If you go to referendum and it fails, you only have 5 days to come back with a new ballot, you know.
We voted 3 Fridays in a row. That's
So,
what
I
we
mean,
did.
it's a real, the ballots have to be printed and, you know, registrars have to get worker, you know, it's not
And
as
there's a
simple.
cost to
So,
that.
It's
I mean,
expensive.
You're all in
Very
here till.
expensive.
It's about $5,000 every time you go to vote.
So is there any, and this may be off topic a little bit, but is there any revision for that rule coming out soon to pull the 3% off that?
Has to be.
Has to go to charter.
That's
Yes,
what
we
charter.
Is that it? I'm just asking.
Our meeting's
Charter.
Tuesday night, we're starting.
Yes, ma'am. Be there.
Like I try to tell everybody in the room, when you have a selectman, the town vote, that's how they do their budget. This is a democracy. It's supposed to be run by executives and the judiciary, you people. And that's not what's going on now. Right now, we're not running, I can't balance the budget right now. I cannot do it.
3%.
That's been taken away from the mayor's office. It
Yeah.
was a really bad move. Kurt, Seymour has a selecting, you were there, and
Yeah,
that's
Seymour-
how they work.
Yeah, Seymour's the old school town meeting form of government, so no decisions can be made of any substance without the residents weighing in. So our budget every year, even if it's at 0, we still have to put it out to referendum, and the residents still have the opportunity to vote. So it makes it very, very challenging to pass a budget because you're at the whim of the residents, who you're supposed to be at, don't get me wrong. But even when you put forward a good, strong budget that addresses your capital needs at your schools and everything you need to do to continue moving forward, the people can still vote it down. And it's that challenge.
The attempt in our form of government is to have a strong leader that's going to do right by the people and have a strong board that's going to keep the leader in check. And unfortunately, I question if that was going on, but that's what you have right now. So we need to get back to where state law says I have to balance the budget, and the numbers have to be real in that budget. I can't put in future revenues, whatever funny language you want to put in there. I can't do that. I won't do that. All right? That's what happened in the past. Yeah, we had a budget on paper that was balanced, but the money wasn't there. That's not going to happen. That will never happen. I just want to let you know there's a difference in how we're supposed to run the city.
Any other board members? No? This is strange.
So Mayor Frank, we are hoping that the state will come in and help the town and the Board of Ed.
The state is going to help all the towns.
Okay.
But how much? We're in a huge hole. It's not going to be,
Yeah.
right. But they already said, I think they said it was $170 million that they're going to give to schools. And
So 170 million throughout the state.
throughout the
and
state.
it's gonna-
Ansonia's going to get
We hope.
970-something thousand, right? Is that what you Yeah.
Is
That's
that a
been-
definite, though, the
That's
970?
been announced.
Nothing's definite until next
Well, they didn't sign the paper.
Yeah. Session's over Wednesday.
So that's going to cover the Board of Ed where they went over 2.4%. That'll cover them. So,
And do you have a rough figure about what's going to go to the city then?
all that money
Well,
goes to the
I'm
Board of
asking
Ed.
for a rough number because he just gave us a rough number for the Board of Ed.
I have no idea because they're fighting up there as we speak.
Yes,
I was up there today.
we know what was requested.
Well, what I requested and what I'm getting is nowhere near.
Right.
Okay,
I
well,
asked for $7 million and it ain't happening.
Yeah, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
True. Closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah, they
Well-
just threw me out today.
if there are no further inquiries, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. So passed. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Anybody wants to meet one-on-one and talk about budget, just shoot me an email, we can set up a time.
I didn't want to.